Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Kyoko Miyabe in conjunction with her Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through June the 1st. Hello, Kyoko.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Tina.
Thanks, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you for this opportunity to, show my work and also speak to you a little bit about my work.
Great. So yeah, please tell us a bit about the current show.
Yeah, so the series of work I have exhibited started with a painting I saw a few years ago. It's a painting at the Art Institute in Chicago by an artist named Maria Helena Vieira da Silva. She's a Portuguese-French artist who worked in the 20th century. She was trained in both in Lisbon and in Paris. The painting at the Art Institute, it really spoke to me visually. I was also intrigued by the wall text, in which it said that so the painting was made in 1936-37, so politically turbulent times. And apparently, Vieira da Silva insisted on the merits of abstraction when there was perhaps more demand for artworks that had a clear political message. And the idea of working in an abstraction in a world fraught with so many, social, political, environmental issues, that's a question I've been engaged in for some time. And so that wall text um, gave me this sort of sense of a kinship with Vieira da Silva's painting. And so just took that as a starting point. I started with a loose copy of this painting at the Art Institute. Of course, a photograph of the painting, really. And then just sort of continue creating a variation from the copy I created. And that's what we have here. I was not able to fully identify what really spoke to me about this painting by Vieira da Silva. It's actually not so representative of the work she's known for. This painting that, she made in 36, 37, has kind of a organic shape, and that almost mound-like shape within it consists of these fragments, this assemblage of fragments that could be likened to pottery shards or archaeological fragments. It looks almost maybe like a map, the sidewalks, zigzagging. It's maybe a town or a village. There was a gentleman at the opening, and he said he actually saw interactions of people, which I liked. I really appreciated that interpretation. I was happy that the images, as he also said too, that the images are not static, that there's a sense of movement, even though I have these forms that are basically flat. I'm not creating three-dimensional shapes. I used a lot of rectangular and triangular shapes. These are, of course, coming from Vieira da Silva's original paintings. A colleague of mine saw images of my paintings on Instagram and thought of landscape.
Yeah, it does have kind of an aerial view of a landscape, sometimes like a farmland.
Mhm. Yes.
So the work is very textural. How did that come about?
So that came about maybe accidentally in that I took a lot of paintings that I started on, worked on, but they didn't go anywhere, and I'd sort of abandoned them. Some are a few years old. And now that I had an idea of a kind of a motif, I guess, I painted over those old paintings. So this one, you see the kind of concentric circle lines, so the scratch marks almost. Some were in the old painting. Some of the scratches come from the newer layer. I would use an old comb to just sort of create that jaggedy lines, patterns.
So what does the original painting look like? Is it textural or is it smooth or what kind of surface does it have?
The original painting also, I think, had a little bit of, yeah, textural surface. It's much bigger than the one I have. The original painting is made in oil and perhaps reflecting of the time, not as colorful as the paintings you see here. More earthy in tone, perhaps, and more grays.
So did you find how did your thinking change from, say, the first one when you were like doing a sketch like of the painting? So I assume matching more than making. But then after cycling through so many versions, did you feel you were like had sort of subsumed her forms and were making them anew?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. After doing kind of a loose copy of the original painting, where, as you said, Mike, was a little more faithful to the original, after that, I started honing in on certain areas that really grabbed me, I guess. So it did become more about perhaps dialogue with the new versions that I had created, but still those, of course, continue to have allusion to the original painting. So maybe the dialogue also became kind of layered in that way.
Yeah, more of a back and forth between your practice and the source.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
And so what are your thoughts about like De Silva's philosophy of like not making political work in a turbulent time? I mean, our time's pretty turbulent.
Right, exactly. Yes. And that's why I wanted to try and think through, I guess, that idea of adhering to abstract language in this difficult time. What does that mean? And there's really no clear answer, but perhaps the process of painting is a way to engage in that question. I think ultimately I'm trying to create works that could offer something to the viewer, something that can add to their lives, impart a kind of life force in the way perhaps, being in nature or looking at beautiful flowers can kind of add to one's sense of well-being, if you will. And maybe even though that may seem not directly political, not having a direct political message in itself could be a political position, perhaps. Those are things I'm still working out.
Right. I mean, it's like art is more important than ever for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely too. keep, art and cultural arts thriving. I think it's
right, as an
really
alternative.
important. Yeah, for sure.
So these are color pencil versions.
Yes, these are color pencil versions of the paintings. This was also fun because by nature of the medium, I could work more quickly. I did layer different colors, but there's only so many layerings that you could do with color pencil. Um, and with the drawings, I sort of focused on certain shapes, right? Because I'm not filling the entire frame. I left the white space, some of the white space. So then it started to take on slightly different characteristics. And I'm thinking now of painting from the drawings to see where that might lead me.
Huh. So painting from your drawing.
Right. I haven't done it yet, but I think
Mhm.
that might be an interesting next step to take.
And then there's like a lot of like repeated shape patterns in there, like scallops and diamonds and things like that.
Right. So those are patterns that I started using in previous series of work I created. So those triangle patterns come from a Japanese traditional pattern. It's not just specific to Japanese culture, of course, but in Japanese culture, it's said that these patterns have symbolic meaning of warding off evil because of the association with snake scales or snake skin. And then yes, that pattern. Thank you, Tina. That's called Seigaiha, which literally means blue ocean wave. And that has symbolic meaning of uh, things thriving and praying for world peace. So I'm trying to interweave those symbolic meanings into my work.
Well, it's a really great show, Kyoko.
Thank you, Mike.
And the show is up through June the 1st. We hope everyone comes down to check it out. And everything's also available on our website, ceruleanarts.com. Well, thanks so much for being here and have a great night.
Good night. Thank you for joining.